Dear students, this is the video in continuation with the previous video on pilot plant design for tablets. So let us continue from the slide of drawing. Yes, so in the previous video we have seen how the drying operation is optimized in the pilot plant. So let us take a review of the drying process which is carried out at the intermediate scale and as well as in the large scale production area. Well, in the laboratory scale development, in fact the drying is carried out in a simple manner, especially in the oven. In the pilot plant or in the large scale process where the circulating hot air ovens are used as a conventional method of drying, and there are certain factors as a part of scale up must be paid attention to, like oven drying, like airflow, air temperature, and the depth of the granulation on trays. Here the granulation bed, if it is too deep or too dense, the drying process will become inefficient, and moreover, if soluble dyes are involved, the migration of dyes to the surface of the granules, which is likely to occur. So these are the problems. They must be addressed while optimizing the process or evaluating the process in the pilot plant. The drying times at the specified temperatures and airflow rates must also be established for each product and for each particular oven load, because for different products even or for different oven loads, the drying times and the drying temperature may vary, and therefore these things we have to establish properly. So let's go to the next slide. This is the method of drying and alternative to the conventional hot air oven drying method, that is the fluidized bed dryers. So this is an attractive alternative to the circulating hot air ovens, and here the important factors considered as a part of scale up fluidized bed dryer, scale up in the fluidized bed dryer are optimum loads, rate of airflow, inlet air temperature, and humidity. So these are the factors one must address and one must establish for a given process to be which is being developed in the pilot plant for making of the tablets. The next thing which is required to be optimized, that is the reduction of particle size. Well, when we are talking about the tablets, so we must focus on the compression factors, and those factors may be affected by the particle size distribution. So basically the particle size distribution is affected by flowability. Actually particle size distribution, the variation in the particle size distribution, it affects the flowability, compressibility, uniformity of tablet weight, content uniformity, tablet hardness, and tablet color uniformity. So it is a must to optimize the particle size distribution of the granulation material so that all the features like flowability, compressibility, content uniformity, tablet hardness, tablet color uniformity, so they will get optimized. And this thing can be done by carrying out the trials. So here the first step is to determine the particle size distribution of granulation, and the method used to determine particle size distribution of the granulation is the sieve analysis, where the series of sieves are stacked, and the procedure is carried out in order to find out the particle size distribution of the given sample of granulation. The particle size reduction of the dried granulation of particle size patches can be carried out by passing all materials through the oscillating granulator, a hammer mill, a mechanical sieving device, or in some cases a screening device. So here in order to modify the particle size distribution, which can be, as I discussed above, assessed or evaluated with the help of the sieve analysis method. So for modifying this kind of particle size distribution, we need to pass the material, dried granulation material, through the oscillating granulator, a hammer mill, a mechanical device, or in some cases a screening device. So this is actually required for particle size reduction, so that the desired particle size distribution may be obtained. As part of scale up of a milling or sieving operation, the lubricants and glidants, which in the laboratory are usually added directly to the final blend, are usually added to the dried granulation during the sizing operation. So this is a very important point we should note. Well, in the laboratory formulation development, where the lubrication step, where the addition of lubricant and glidant is done during the sieving operation, well, but at the large scale, or while developing that formula in the pilot plant, so this is important to add the lubricant and glidants during the sizing operation. This will reduce the problem of scale up. This is in fact done because some of the additives, especially magnesium stearate, tend to agglomerate when added in large quantities to the granulation in a blender. So in order to avoid the addition, the agglomeration problem of the lubricant such as magnesium stearate into the granulation, it is better to add it during the sizing operation, so that the agglomeration problems will get eliminated. Well, the blending operation, type of blending equipment often differs from that using in the laboratory. What different equipment of blending we are using in the laboratory may not be the similar one with that of available at the large scale. In any blending operation, both segregation and mixing occur simultaneously, and these are the functions of particle size, shape, hardness, and density, and the dynamics of the mixing action. Well, at a small scale or the laboratory scale, these are the problems we do not encounter, but at a large scale, due to the tremendous vibrations of the machineries, the segregation and mixing, these are the things that do simultaneously take place. And as I said, these are the functions of particle size, shape, hardness and density. And therefore these parameters of the granulation material, they must be established well during the development of formulation in the pilot plant, so that the segregation and mixing, as they are happening simultaneously, so but they will be taking place in the right manner, correct manner, and there will be no problem of segregation at the end of the separation at the end of the process. Particle abrasion, which is more likely to occur when the high shear mixer and spiral screws or blades are used. So this is also the problem when we come across with during the development of formula, and we have to check if at all the particle abrasions are happening, and if it is there, so the necessary steps must be taken in order to prevent such kind of abrasion. Another point is that when a low dose active ingredient is to be blended, so it may be sandwiched between two portions of directly compressible excipients in order to avoid loss to the surface of the blender. See, the active ingredient, which is very small in quantity as compared to the other excipients, so it is advisable to keep it sandwiched between the two portions of directly compressible vehicles or excipients during the blending operations, and this will prevent the sticking of the material to the surfaces of the blenders, as this we cannot afford, because a substantial quantity may get stuck to the surfaces and there will be less amount available in the bulk of the mixture, producing the final product with the low potency. So these are the equipments used for mixing: Sigma blade mixer, planetary mixer, twin shell blender and high shear mixer. Slugging or dry granulation. Well, here while developing the formula in the laboratory, it is possible that we try the wet granulation method, but when we are thinking the formula to be developed at intermediate scale, so that the same will be taken place at the large scale, we have number of other options as well. Slugging is one of the options available, and we have to try this kind of operations in order to eliminate the problems that are likely to be faced at the large scale operations or during the large scale processing. Here the dry powder blend that cannot be directly compressed because of poor flow or compression properties. Well, the dry blend of the powders, that means the active ingredient plus the other excipients, the dry blend may not be having the requisite compressibility, and that's why we have to use the liquid binder in order to increase its compressibility. But it is sometimes advisable to use even another alternative method, that is the dry granulation method. It is also called as slugging, where the slugging is carried out in the tablet press, which is which is specially designed for the purpose of slugging, and it operates at pressure of about 15 tons compared with a normal tablet press which operates at pressure of 4 tons or less. The slugs are they are large in diameter and they range from 1 inch for more easily slugged material, whereas to 3/4 inch in diameter for materials that are more difficult to compress and require more pressure per unit area to yield the satisfactory compacts. If an excessive amount of fine powder is generated during the milling operation, well, this milling is followed after the slugging operation, because the slugs that have been formed, they are compulsory to be milled as to make the sizing of the material. In fact, the slugging is done as to increase the compressibility of material, and that's why slugging is followed always by the milling. And during the milling, if a lot of dust gets generated, so the fines whatever are there, they are recycled through the slugging operation again. Slugging, just like slugging, the dry compaction is also an other alternative for establishing the process in the intermediate scale level or in the pilot plant. Granulation by dry compaction can also be achieved by passing powder between two rollers that compact the material at pressure of up to 10 tons per linear inch. Here, instead of slugging, what we are doing, the granulation, the dry blend powders, we are simply passing between the two rollers which are having the pressure of up to 10 tons per linear inch. Here, the materials of very low density require roller compaction to achieve a bulk density sufficient to allow encapsulation or compression. Whenever we want to prepare the capsules or tablets, there are certain powders having very low density, and the bulk density has to be increased for such powders as to enable them to get encapsulated or compressed. And for this purpose, it is advisable to pass such materials between the rollers, causing the dry compaction. And the best example of this kind can be given of the aluminum hydroxide. It is such a material having a very low density, and it will be very difficult to be compressed or to get filled into the capsules. So therefore it is advisable to pass it between the rollers having the load or pressure of up to 10 tons that will make that material to get pressed and get transformed into a compacts or cakes. Here the pilot plant personnel should determine whether the final drug blend or the active ingredient could be more efficiently processed in this manner than by conventional processing in order to produce a granulation with the required tableting or encapsulation properties. Pilot plant personnel has to take the decision as to about the deciding of the process. There are a number of options available, but according to the need of the formulation, according to the properties of the materials that are being processed in the formulation, so one has to make a proper choice among the various available techniques or processes. So here just avoiding only the conventional techniques in the processing we can also think about other options available so that the process will be optimally established. Uh, a proper study carried out in the pilot plant by carrying out number of trials that will help us establish several such parameters and thus make the process almost established. And once it is established uh, with uh, with the number of parameters to be optimized or to be identified, then this process can easily be scaled up for the large scale operations, and the scale up problems will thus get reduced, and there will be successful production at large scale. This is the compression. Well, this is the very important step or the final step in case of the tablets. The ultimate test of tablet formulation and granulation process is whether the granulation can be compressed on a high speed tablet press. In the large scale manufacturing area, where we come across with the high speed tablet presses, and uh, the granulation material formulation tablet granulation material that has been say processed or that has been formed by the established process, by the developed process in the pilot plant. So it's a great challenge, it's a great test would be that would be the tablet operation or tablet formation. During the compression, the tablet press performs the following functions. Number one, filling of empty die cavity with granulation. Number two, pre-compression of granulation, which is the optional. Number three, compression of granules. And number four, ejection of tablets from the die cavity and takeoff of compressed tablet. So let us think about these functions one by one. See, when evaluating the compression characteristic of particular formulation, we have to run prolonged trials at the press speeds equal to that which is going to be used in the normal production should be tried, and only then are the potential problems such as sticking to the punch surface, tablet hardness, capping, and weight variation detected. So when we are carrying out the trials using the high speed machines, which we do not normally do when we are developing that formula in the laboratory scale, but in the pilot plant trials where we can use the granulation material, and we can carry out the trial on such materials for making up the tablets using the high speed tableting machine, and then only we can test whether there would be problem of sticking of the material to the punch or to the punch surface. Then also the problem of tablet hardness, the capping, and the weight variation. If these problems would be detected, so these are the things one must test thoroughly, and that too on the high speed tablet machines. So high speed tablet compression depends on ability of the press to interact with granulation. The granulation material, how well it has been made, it has been prepared, and the tablet machine, how well it will interact with that kind of material. So depending on that only, the success of getting the tablet would be there uh, using the high speed tablet compression machines. So following are the parameters to be considered while choosing the speed of press. There are two the given granulation material, how much speed, how much maximum speed it can tolerate, it can withstand for giving us the good quality tablets. So the factors include the first one, the granulation feed rate. Second, the delivery system should not change the particle size distribution. And thirdly, system should not cause segregation of coarse and fine particles, nor it should induce the static charges. The granulation feed rate, well, if we are talking about the high speed tablet machines, naturally the granulation feed rate must be higher. Greater the speed, greater will be the feed rate. Feed rate means the filling up of the dyes with the granulation material. The granulation material is flowing from hopper, and it will be there in the feed frame, where from it is filling the dyes of the tablet machines. Well, another thing, that is the delivery system, as I have discussed. So this should not change the particle size distribution, because there are mechanical steps taking place, and that may cause any change in the particle size distribution. If at all, if any kind of particle size distribution change has been taken place, and that will be very problematic for getting the good tablets, and so far as the potency of the tablet is concerned. So it is very important the particle size distribution should not get affected. Otherwise, all the parameters of the tablet will get affected, like weight content uniformity, weight variation, and so on. Then system should not cause segregation of coarse and fine particles, nor it should induce static charges, as it is in the large scale operations where we have to handle the large quantity of the material, and obviously this material, when it is flowing through the hopper into the feed frame, so that will cause the mechanical stress to the material, and this may bring about the separation of coarse and fines, which is not at all desirable. So the given granulation material should be able to withstand the mechanical stresses by the machines without causing the segregation problems. Otherwise everything will get affected. Well, in case of the tablets, where we have to get the desired parameters of the tablets, like proper hardness, acceptable weight variation, acceptable content uniformity, and so on. And for this purpose, we have to take care that the particle size distribution should not get affected. Moreover, the segregation should not take place during the time of compression. The dye feed system must be able to fill the dye cavities adequately in the short period of time. Then the dye is passing under the feed frame. When we are talking about the filling up of the dye cavities for making of the tablets. The dye cavities are fixed into the dye table, and the dye table is constantly rotating. Each dye will pass under the feed frame. The feed frame is the area holding the granulation material, and the time over which the dye is moving under the feed frame, and during that period only the dye get the opportunity to get filled with the granulation material. If the high speed machines we are talking about, then the dye will get a very short period while moving under the die table, under the feed frame holding the granulation material, and it will have very short period for filling of the material into the die cavity. So your granulation material has to be such that should immediately feed get get into the die cavity, so that it will get completely filled during that short period only. Otherwise, we have to reduce the speed, or we have to make the changes in the granulation material as to meet the need. The smaller the tablet, the more difficult it is to get uniform fill, high press speed. Well, this is true because the granulation material is having a specific particle size distribution. You'll find the fines as well as the coarse particles present in the granulation material. And if we have a very small size of the tablet to be prepared, definitely the die cavity will not get uniformly filled each time, because we need tablets to produce with a uniform weight and uniform contain, uniform potency. The active ingredient should be equally present in all the tablets, and for this purpose it is necessary that every time the die cavity of the tablets should get filled with the granulation material uniformly or equally. And especially in case of the smaller tablets, then such kind of problems may occur, and for this purpose then we have to optimize, or we have to make the modifications in the granulation material, particularly its in its particle size distribution. So this is the very important step of optimizing or establishing the particle size distribution of granulation materials, and this can be developed by carrying out number of trials in the pilot plant only. Then for high speed machines, induced die feed system is necessary. For the high speed machines, we have to use the induced die feed system, and these are available with a variety of feed pedals and with a variable speed capabilities, so that the optimum feed for every granulation can be obtained. So according to the feed frame type, according to the ability of the feed frame, according to the quality of the granulation material, we have to optimize speed, so that ultimately we will be getting all the tablets having the acceptable parameters. After the die cavities are filled, the excess is removed by feed frame to the center of the die table. Well, this is the process which is going on in the tablet press. Compression of granulation usually occurs as a single event. This is very important, as the heads of the punches pass over the lower and under the upper pressure rollers. This is the single event where the upper and lower rollers, they will press the punches as to progress them inside the die cavity, so that the material in between their gaps will get compressed, it will get compacted during that single point when the rollers will exert their maximum load at a particular point of time, and this causes the punch to penetrate the die to preset depth, compacting the granulation to the thickness of the gap set between the punches. And the rapidity and dwell time in between this press event occurs is determined by speed at which the press is rotating and by the size of compression rollers. Well, the speed of the tablet machine and the size of compression rollers. In fact, these are the two parameters which dictate or which will decide the dwell time of the punches in the die cavities. Dwell time means the time for which the punches are staying penetrated in the die cavity, during which actually the compaction of the material will take place. The compaction will be proper if a proper dwell time is allowed. Otherwise, if insufficient or inadequate dwell time would be there, the compaction will not take place, proper compaction will not take place, and resulting tablet will not be having desired mechanical strength and the desired hardness. Larger the compression roller, the more gradually compression force is applied and released. So here it is very important that the compression force should be gradually applied for getting the compact mass or consolidated mass. Otherwise, for just a very short period, the compression roller exert their pressure, that means the dwell time, where the compaction process would not complete, and the tablet that will be obtained at the end will not be having the requisite hardness or requisite mechanical strength. So it is very important to have the gradual compression. Moreover, for this purpose, the sufficient dwell time is required, and this will be dependent upon, in turn, on the speed of the tablet machine as well as the diameter of the rollers. Larger the diameter of the roller, the pressure that is getting applied over the punches will be a gradual one. Gradually it is increasing and gradually it is decreasing. So that will give us the more dwell time. And for this purpose, we have to optimize the speed of the tablet machine also. See, slowing down the press speed or using larger compression rollers can reduce capping in a formulation. Well, if the proper dwell time has not been there, the capping is a kind of problem that may arise, and this is prevented either by slowing down the speed, the press, tablet press, or using the larger compression rollers. Then the final event is of ejection. The final event is ejection of compressed tablets from the die cavity. During compression, the granulation is compacted to form tablets. Bonds within compressible material must be formed. Bonds between compressible material must be formed, which results in sticking. Sticking is also likely to occur because during the compression, the material of the tablet may form the bonds with the machine parts, and this will cause the sticking. So therefore we need to use the lubricant. But again, the problem is that high level of lubricant or over blending, it will result in the soft tablet or decrease in wettability of the powder and an extension of the dissolution time. So we have to use the lubrication or lubricant in the granulation mass to an optimum level, and this is also a point which has to be established during the trials in the pilot plant. Binding to die walls can also be overcome. The problem of binding to the die walls or sticking to the die walls, it can also be overcome by designing the die to be 0.001 to 0.005 inch wider at the upper portion than at the center in order to relieve pressure during ejection. So this is the point to be noted. If we have the wider diameter at the upper portion of the dies, wider means just 0.001 to 0.005 inch wider. So if this is so the problem of sticking will get overcome to some extent. Tablet coating. So tablet coating is also has to be optimized, because nowadays most of the tablets, they are preferred to be coated for several advantages. Sugar coating is carried out in conventional coating pans now has undergone many changes because of new developments in coating technology and also changes in safety and environmental regulations. The conventional sugar coating pan has given way to perforated pans or fluidized bed coating columns. So nowadays, the latest machineries that are available, which will replace which would replace the conventional coating pans, as to deal with the new coating technology as well as also to have the safety parameters and follow the environmental uh, regulations more satisfactorily. The development of new polymeric material has resulted in a change from aqueous sugar coating and more recently to aqueous film coating. Nowadays, the aqueous sugar coating is possible due to the availability of new polymeric material, and this has also made possible to have the aqueous film coating. The film coating is always preferred over the sugar coating because the film coating will not increase weight of the tablet to a greater extent as compared to the sugar coating. The tablets must be sufficiently hard to withstand tumbling to which they are subjected in either the coating pan or the coating column. Obviously, in coating pan or coating column, where the tablet bed is charged and the coating solution is applied, and the tumbling action is bound to happen there, so the tablet should be hard enough to withstand the mechanical shocks, mechanical vibrations that are going to occur during the tumbling operations, and therefore the tablet must be sufficiently hard for that purpose. And whenever the coating is going to be done, then the hardness it is adjusted accordingly. Some tablet core materials are naturally hydrophobic, and in these cases, film coating with an aqueous system may require special formulation of the tablet core and or the coating solution. Here, either we have to modify the core or coating solution as to enable to apply the hydrophilic solution. Otherwise, if the core material is having the hydrophobic surface, then it will be difficult to apply the aqueous solution over the tablet having the hydrophobic surface. A film coating solution may have been found to work well with a particular tablet in small lab coating pan, but may be totally unacceptable on a production scale. So this is the problem we usually face whenever we switch over to the large scale operations. Those problems may not be uh, visible during the small scale operation, particularly in the laboratory scale operation. These problems will not be visible, but all of a sudden they will appear at large scale, and therefore we have to observe that process critically. We have to identify the number of say parameters so that they can be optimized well, and the process can be regulated and controlled well as to get the production successfully. This is because of increased pressure and abrasion to which tablets are subjected when batch size is large, and different in temperature and humidity to which tablets are exposed while coating and drying purpose. Why this is happening? That problems that we do not face in the laboratory scale formula development, but the problems suddenly will be appearing at the large scale processing. So this is because in the large scale manufacturing, where we have to handle the large quantities, so the bed of the tablet, when we are charging, when we are placing into the coating pan, so the weight of the tablets is exerted. See, the large quantity of tablets, the upper tablets will be pressing the tablets under them, so the weight will get exerted and when the cascadation motion will be going on during the operation, so the abrasion is also likely to occur. So these problems we face when we are dealing with the large scale operations, and that's why we have to identify such problems during the pilot plant. So that's why the pilot plant trials are very important. So here we finish the design of pilot plant for tablet. Thank you very much.